This is Sword Beach, which is the furthest beach, right or left, depending on which way you're looking at the beach, of the invasion beaches, and this was the British beach. This young lady from Australia is wearing her dad's hat and medals. He was with the British Royal Marines, and he was in the first wave here on Sword Beach. There's the statue for Bill Mauldin, the bagpiper who piped the commandos ashore on D-Day. And we just missed the demonstration of the bagpiper himself here. Here is one of the few remaining German bunkers on Juno Beach. Again, Juno Beach, you can see down there all these are memorials to the Canadian troops, which I did not realize is that the Canadians suffered as much on Juno Beach as the Americans did on Omaha Beach. And those are some of the original houses that were here in 1944 at the time of the landing. And here on Juno Beach there were 14,000 mines, and behind, that's Dominique, our guide, you see that little machine gun nest over there, and there were 3 of them on the beach here that did most of the damage. 1,200 Canadians were wounded or killed here. Here's a young woman reading the names of the French Canadian troops who landed here on Juno Beach.
Amil Arthur Douglas, Amil Elbert Mervyn.
This hotel is in the Juno Beach area Canadian section, and this hotel was where the first news of the D-Day landings was sent from about 10:30 in the morning on June 6th. This is the road that the Canadians took off of Juno Beach, and it was redone, but the curb that you see there on the left was left, and if you looked closely you would see all the marks that the tanks made in it as they passed through. The mayor insisted that they be left in there when the road be. Here we are in Arromanches, and this is one of the 2 locations where the Mulberry Harbor was created. And you can see the Mulberry Harbor in the distance there, and you can also see one of the Mulberry Harbor piers that's washed ashore down here on the beach. And you also can see the period motor vehicles in front. So this would be part of Gold Beach. And here we are, the hills behind Gold Beach at Arromanches. And again, this is the area where they set up the mulberries. This was not the area where they wanted to do any landings and screw up the landscape behind the beach. They want to keep this intact for building their artificial harbor. This is the gun battery at Longues-sur-Mer, and this is one of 4 German gun batteries here, basically behind Gold Beach. And these guns could fire 15 miles out, but because of the reconnaissance bunker in front of this one could not communicate with this bunker because the French resistance had cut the wires. It fired 1,500 shells but hit absolutely nothing. I'm going to go over here, and eventually it was blown up, and there you can see the gun barrel still lying on the ground.
To land, paratroopers
this is
and
Omaha
land
Beach.
on these beaches. And if you get them both, I'll give you 2 stars.
Full moon and relatively low tide.
Low tide,
Yeah.
exactly low tide. On 8, you're going to have them by lunchtime. This is
This is the defenses behind Omaha Beach.
And this one faces west. The next one along will face east. And so on and so forth. And there are 15 of these prepared points on Omaha on this 4-mile stretch. I don't include trench mortar positions, machine gun positions, or infantry on the ridge lines. I only include prepared gun positions.
Well, here I am standing on Omaha Beach, and this was the section where there were tremendous casualties. And you can see the tide is only partially out. They had to cross 400 yards of open beach here, crossed over to here, and if they were lucky enough, this is what remains of the shale wall that was here that they could hide behind. And there were the German positions up there, but even this didn't offer much safety because the Germans had this all positioned in with mortars. and it took them from 6:30 in the morning to noon to finally get and take the top of the hill up there. And looking down Omaha Beach was actually about 9.5 miles long. The Allies landed on about 4.5 miles of it.
June 6th,
Pointe du Hoc.
some will come ashore on Charlie Sector on Omaha. 5 battalions will come ashore here. It is important because you have 6. One there, one there, one there, one there, 2 in between. The 6 155mm guns.
Pointe du Hoc. This gives you a good long-range view of the whole position. Down on the left there, we're pointing at, you can see the cliffs that the Rangers had to climb. You can see the monument over there where they came up. And looking down across the gun emplacements, I'm standing on the gun emplacement that is furthest west at Pointe du Hoc. Pointe du Hoc was heavily bombed, and believe it or not, that is a bomb crater. Here we are at Pointe du Hoc, and obviously this is one of the batteries that was located on Pointe du Hoc. And here I am at St. Mary-Église, and there is the famous church with the reproduction of the paratrooper who was caught on top. His real name was John Steele, and in the movie Longest Day he was played by Red Buttons. And they're actually having a band concert here of songs from the 40s. This is Marion Farm, which is a paratroop rendezvous point.
We'll be the 101st who go into Ravenna-View, along with some scattered 82nd. The Germans have the high ground, much like Omaha Beach. And once Ravenna-View is cleared, they will come this way because the 4 causeways coming off Utah Beach are all in that direction. And their job is to secure causeways.
This is Breakcourt Manor, and this is where Lieutenant Winters and the 14 men took out those guns that was the famous scenes in Band of Brothers. And along that hedge line over there is where the German guns were. And going right here, just turn the corner of the field, along that hedgerow coming up from the right is where Winters and his men came up, and where you see that telephone pole over there, that's where Winters set up one of his machine guns, and he set up the second one just a little bit to the left there, and then proceeded to take the guns going all the way down the line there, as seen in Band of Brothers. And if you remember in Band of Brothers, Private Malarkey ran out in the field to get what he thought was the Luger, and this is where he ran out, right in front of this tree line here, and there was a German machine gun right over there that didn't shoot at him because they thought he was a medic going out to help somebody wounded. But when he got out there, he found out that it was not a Luger, that it was actually an air horn, and he had to run back, and the machine gun started shooting at him. And they started down this end here where gun number 1 would be, and then worked along this line, knocking out one gun at a time, finally getting down to the last gun down here where Lieutenant Spears and his squad attacked the gun. And looking down, this is the bridge that Lieutenant Bruthridge and the British paratroopers would have crossed to take the bridge. And here's a period photograph, and you can see the Pegasus Bridge, and you also in the background, if you're looking from the right hand side, you can see the crashed British glider that actually landed within 45 yards of the bridge. This is a 40mm Bofor gun used to shoot down aircraft, an anti-aircraft gun used by the British to defend Pegasus Bridge after it was taken, and shot down 17 German planes. The Russian contingent. Here is the entrance to the American cemetery at Colville-sur-Mer. These are the names of bodies that have never been recovered. 1,700 approximately. Cemetery at Colville-sur-Mer. Musical performance. Obviously the Star Spangled Banner. The statue at the cemetery at Colville-sur-Mer represents American youth rising out of the waves. And here are the American graves at Colville-sur-Mer. And in total there are about 9,300 graves here. And this property was given to the United States by Charles de Gaulle as American property. Here we are at the Colville-sur-Mer Cemetery, overlooking Omaha Beach, or part of Omaha Beach down below. These are the graves of the British soldiers killed in the taking of Pegasus Bridge, and the first soldiers killed in all of the D-Day operations, and that is Lieutenant Bruthridge over there, who was the first casualty of all casualties on D-Day. They were buried here on the day of the battle, and they have not been moved. This is one of the British and Canadian cemeteries. There are about 2,500 graves here. We just learned that the British and Canadians did not have an option of sending their dead soldiers home. Only the Americans did that. This is the grave of a dog. That was one of the dogs used by the British soldiers for sniffing out mines and stuff, and he was buried here next to his master. Look how well this British cemetery has been kept. Every rose bush is absolutely, and every plant is absolutely perfect. There is a Jewish soldier buried in the British cemetery. He was
told that for their own
in the
sake,
British regiment.
once
This is a Polish gravestone, very uniquely shaped on the top for Polish soldiers. This is the youngest member in the cemetery. He is 16 years old and 14 years old when he enlisted. This is the Canadian stone emblem. This is one of two brothers buried here. Stan Eckert, he was killed clearing mines, taking the Merville Battery. And this is the other Eckert brother. All I can say is that it's an honor just being here near these guys. This is very interesting. The gravestones together indicate that these two men were killed in a tank together, and since they couldn't tell who was who, they buried them together with the touching headstones. This is the original monument put up in June 1944, made from scraps of stone, and I guess those are oxygen bottles or something there, and they decided to leave it once they put in the new sculpture. And this is the new sculpture. And here we have a staff car. It's a Dodge, actually. Ralph and I just bought it for driving to me and Ollie's in the morning. And here we come with some recreators. And here we go with what is obviously a period motorcycle. And it's a Harley Davidson. And here we not only have a Jeep, which you can see the gasoline can on the back. Moving a little closer, field radio. And going over there, I think that's the battery for the radio. And there are the controls for the Jeep. Don't need many, do you? Replica of the glider that was the type of glider that was used to land the British troops here at Pegasus Bridge. This was built by the company that builds the planes. And here we see the inside of the glider that was used, and a replica of a British soldier sitting there. And in each of these planes, each of these gliders, there were 30 British soldiers. And here on the side of the glider are the famous 3 parallel white stripes for the D-Day landings. This is so ground soldiers would not shoot at Allied planes. They had a lot of problems with this in a prior landing in Sicily and Italy. They were not painted this way, and a lot of American planes were shot down by their own troops.